Welcome to the 5-Minute OpenDaylight tutorial, episode 3. Today we're going to be looking by example in the 42 OpenFlow plugin.xml file at how to wire particular service instances into another module. This is a continuation of the 5-Minute OpenDaylight tutorial episode 2, which you probably want to watch so that this will make sense, as we went over their required capabilities, definition of basic module configurations, and service instances. So we will be talking today about the module definition here at the end of the module section in 42-OpenFlow plugin.xml. Here we see that it has a type of prefix OpenFlow provider impl. This was, you may recall, one of the capabilities that we had at the top in required capabilities. So that's its type. We give it the name OpenFlow provider impl, and we proceed to wire into it OpenFlow switch connection provider. This has the type OpenFlow switch connection provider, which again was one of the types that we required at the top as a required capability to be present in the system. And it has a name, OpenFlow switch connection provider default. This was one of the service instances that we discussed in episode 2. You can see it here under the service of type OpenFlow switch connection provider, which matches the type of thing that it's supposed to be, OpenFlow switch connection provider. And you can see that it has, in the first instance, we have an instance with name, OpenFlow switch connection provider default, which matches the name that we're wiring in here, OpenFlow switch connection provider default. Effectively, what we're doing is, where we had published a service below with a particular name, here we are wiring that service in with that particular name. We'll talk in subsequent episodes about how one winds up, for example, being able to do so at the level of the project. We then have a second instance of OpenFlow switch connection provider that we wire in, again with the same type, but this time with a different name, OpenFlow switch connection provider legacy. If we go look below at the service instance, we have a second service instance with that name, OpenFlow switch connection provider legacy. We talked about these service instances in episode 2. If you'd like to know more about them, please go look there. And then finally, we wire in a binding aware broker. This is of type binding OS broker OSGI registry. It's given the name binding OSGI broker. And you will probably notice that we've not actually discussed this being defined anywhere yet. And that's because it's defined in the previous configuration file 01mdstyle-xml. If you go look in episode 1, you can see that file in the listings in episode 1. That then concludes the definition of this module. If we come down and look in the services section, we can once again see that we do have a service defined here for this. It is of type OpenFlow provider, and we define an instance there for it. We give it the name OpenFlow provider, and you can see where it selects the module of type OpenFlow provider impl and name OpenFlow provider impl. Going up to the module section, that was exactly this module that we defined above. As noted before in episode 2, that means that this particular service will not only be available for consumption within the config subsystem, but this instance of that service will be available for consumption in the config subsystem under the name OpenFlow provider, but we will also be publishing it to the OSGI registry with a property name set to OpenFlow provider. So it's also visible and available there. This concludes the 5-Minute OpenDaylight tutorial, episode 3. I hope it's been helpful. I will talk to you later.